Hello and welcome to Comedy in a Nutshell. I'm your host Mark Ducano, and in this podcast I ask comedians how it was that they went about building their entire lives around trying to make strangers laugh. Because somewhere between the first laugh and the fifth existential crisis, comedy stops being a hobby and starts becoming a personality. I'm the comedy nerd who's seen more than 2,000 different comedians perform live comedy, and you can find out more about my journey in comedy fandom on my website, thecomedynerd.com. Please also take a moment to like, subscribe, rate, review, and share the podcast. Thank you. My guest this episode is an actor, writer, and comedian whose career spans some of the most beloved British comedy of the last 3 decades. From Knowing Me, Knowing You with Alan Partridge to The Catherine Tate Show. She co-wrote and starred in BBC Radio 4's Hudson and Pepperdine Show, creating a host of memorable characters and sketches. This year, she makes her stand-up comedy debut at the Edinburgh Fringe. It's comedian Mel Hudson. I always like to try and start at the very, very beginning. So when you were growing up, was comedy a big influence on you in the earliest days?
It totally was. Yes. My dad was a comedian.
Yes.
So it was kind of unavoidable. When he was at home anyway, when he wasn't at home, everything was very sad and miserable. But no, when he was there, it was jokes. It was wall-to-wall jokes. So he was, his name was Peter Hudson. Mm-hmm. And I kind of grew up watching him in variety shows. End of the Pier, all the seaside resorts, Margate, Bournemouth, Great Yarmouth, Swanage, Lowestoft. I think I only went to Blackpool when I was about 1. After that, he didn't seem to do Blackpool very much. I don't know why. But yeah, other than that, all the seaside resorts. He would do cabaret in the winter. Yeah. He would go off and do cabaret at the Café Royal and the Connaught Rooms and places like that. And once or twice he did the Palladium. He had stints at the Palladium. He supported Ethel Merman for one of them. Okay. Ethel Merman of There's No. And Tom Jones. Yep. Yeah. And those were both at the Palladium in the 70s. Yeah. And but he was always, and he's not famous, obviously he was not famous, but he was a model of a working comedian for me who, continued to make his living. He was working with Ken Dodd in the year before he died, when they were both in their 80s, and they were both, they both had catheter bags strapped to their legs. So he really, really couldn't stop. And I don't think he got paid enough for those, by the way, just saying. So I grew up sort of sitting in the wings. Well, some of my earliest memories are of the glamour of those variety shows, the incredible glamour of seeing the dancers and the big musical numbers and the special acts. And my dad making people laugh. And I would watch from the wings, and I'd watch him supporting people like Tommy Cooper. Mm-hmm. So that was an education. And then obviously this had a big influence on me. So I was a good little girl, and I was the firstborn, and I had a younger sister, but there were no boys. Mm-hmm. So there were no boys to kind of say, oh no, we should be the funny ones. And so when he was away working, I would try to please him by writing down jokes from the 2 Ronnies and then telling them to him when he got back. I'm not saying he nicked them. I don't think that would have been possible. He didn't have a news format, and it was mainly the news format that I wrote down. So he'd come in the door, and I'd go, Dad, the Queen went on a short informal walkabout today after hitting her thumb with a hammer. And he'd go, very, very good. And I also did impressions, and he would get me to do impressions of people like Blakey from On the Buses for his friends when they came round. So it was kind of abuse. It was showbiz abuse, really.
So how did that then become something that you wanted to do for yourself? Was it always like ordained that you would go into dramatic arts?
No, it's just, I don't know. When I was 5, we had, at my school, we had an elocution teacher. That was the old name for speech and drama. Yeah. They called it elocution. So it was about speaking properly. So as you can see, I now do. And and her name was Miss Beale, and she was very old. And she said to my mum when I was 5, she will either be a university professor or an actress? And my mum was like, "Oh yeah, probably an actress. Yeah, we won't try the university route." So I guess there was some preordainedness, but more it was that, obviously it was nurture as much as nature. It was just that I grew up with that wholly in my head, and it would have terrible consequences. So I would go and tell jokes to little primary school friends' parents, and one of my best friends at primary school, her mother was German. And I turned up at their house and, "Hello, I'm Melanie, yes." And, "Oh, knock, knock." And this woman went, "Who's there?" And I went, "Gestapo." This woman who'd been through the Second World War went, "Gestapo, who?" And I went, "We are the ones who asked the question." And she must have hated me. To me, it was just like my first experience of dying. I was like, "Oh, why didn't she like that joke that my dad told me?" And for her, it might, she had like the Red Army had come through her home and her territory when she was growing up. So she had that. It was not a happy memory for her at all, the Second World War. And that's, it's a lesson for us all there. You've got to be careful who your audience are.
Very much so.
Yes. So, but then I just, I did drama at school.
Yeah.
Whenever there was a funny part, I would gravitate towards that. So I played the common man in A Man for All Seasons in my secondary school, and I've kind of been playing that ever since. Really, I think that's a part that connects very deeply with me. I don't really know why, but it's a sort of baldric part,
right?
And that's feels like something that's a very natural shtick to me, to be a sort of baldric character. I don't know why. I think maybe because it's like that's a male character, and it is in A Man for All Seasons. The common man. He's the common man. He's not the common woman. But I think there's an element of that reminded me of my grandma on my dad's side, who was very kind of, "Oh dear, right, what's going on now?" Oh, she had that kind of laconic, grim. Not putting up with any shit type humour. So that's that. And then I went to drama school, and then I went into the radio drama company, and there was lots of interaction with the light ent department at the BBC. So I did lots of radio comedy in the early part of my career.
Yeah. Well, like you say about their sort of gravitating towards comedic roles, how much was that what you expected of yourself or of going into acting, is that comedic side would sort of draw you in, would remind you perhaps of the jokey upbringing, that you wanted to be the comedic one, the baldric character in that sense? Did that surprise you?
I don't think it was conscious. I think I wanted to be an actress, and I didn't want to go, "Oh, I'm going to do stand-up," because that's what my dad... I mean, you just didn't. If you were a woman, you just didn't in those days think that at all.
Right.
There was Marty Kane. She was the only example out there, and no one thought of being her. This is pre-Victoria Wood, pre-French and Saunders. But it's, by the time I was at drama school, probably it was Victoria Wood, French and Saunders. But I just didn't... I had an assumption that my femaleness meant that there should also be a sort of pretty element to my acting somehow, which really wasn't me. And whenever I got those kind of roles, I couldn't do them. I just couldn't bear, Yelena in Uncle Vanya and Nina. I got cast as Nina in The Seagull in my final year at drama school in a very ill-fated production directed by Bernard Hill. Who, funnily enough, tried to emphasise all the comedy, but that wasn't. But he did that by just sort of making the servants stick their feet in cardboard boxes and fall over, and that didn't help me with, "Am I an actress or a seagull?" He didn't really have any insight into that, old Bernard. So I just couldn't play those parts. I couldn't really connect with the pretty part. With "Oh, you've got to be pretty." I shied away from that, and that's how you get. Comedy felt safe.
I know you from being sort of ensemble in so many now iconic shows. I mean, let's throw a few titles out there. Mary Whitehouse Experience, Smith and Jones, Knowing Me, Knowing You with Alan Partridge, Catherine Tate's show, Armando Iannucci show, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah.
All of these that are now iconic. At the time, when you're an actor in the ensemble on shows like this, did you think this is so funny. This is going to set up. These people are going to be huge, amazing. Was that a sort of thing going through your head, or you turn up, you clock in, read the lines, and
oh gosh, definitely not turn up, clock in. No, gosh, no. I mean, the guys from the Mary Whitehouse Experience were already very big by the time I started doing little sketches in that. They were already big,
right?
But it was hugely exciting because and indeed Smith and Jones as well. That was exciting. It's what I always really enjoy is the live recording in front of an audience. And I know that's so unfashionable now, and everybody's much more into the sort of, drama school improv feel of no audience, but I love the live audience. And in fact, honestly, I get bored without that. So with the Mary Whitehouse Experience, it was just great because they were these sort of rock star comedian, sexy guys, and it was my first television job at all. I'd only done radio up till then. That was my big break. As David Baddiel has reminded me before now, we gave you your big break, he would say. I was like, yeah, what, playing your girlfriend a couple of times? But that was them. And then with Knowing Me, Knowing You, I just was very conscious that this was a really good thing to be doing. I just connected to it so quickly. I got the audition at the time when Alan Partridge had only been a radio cat. Well, no, they'd done the day-to-day, but the Knowing Me, Knowing You format had only been on radio. So I remember very clearly getting a cassette of it. I'd not listened to it. I don't really listen to radio. I'm not. I've done loads of radio. I don't really listen to it. So I got a cassette and listened to it in the car, and I remember laughing and laughing and laughing so much, and just thinking, oh, I really want to get this job. This would be great. Because it was just so good. It was just so clever and funny. Yeah. And and I got cast because the casting director remembered me as a punk at university, and they wanted backing punk band for Doon McKicken's band in the first episode of that. And so she remembered that. So I went along to the audition, which was an improvisation at Talkback with Steve Coogan and Amanda Iannucci. And I can't remember. I think that model was there, Sarah Stockdale, who was one of Vivienne Westwood's models. It was like an incredibly cool audition. And they wanted us to be Scottish. And so, I had to do a bit of Scottish accent and put on, I wore a checked lumberjack shirt that I had from my earliest punk days, and I wore all my studded wristbands, dressed up, and got the job. And then I remember when I then got offered to do another episode where I was this French co-host, Nina Varnier, that was, again, the most brilliant fun, because in gaps in filming, I would be sat next to Steve Coogan on a stool at the front, and he would sort of improvise and riff a bit, and I would take the piss out of him. And a friend of mine was sitting in the front row, who I hadn't seen for a long time, actually, but I remember sort of going up to him in the front row and saying, oh, hello, how are you? And he said, oh my God, it's so great to see you doing this. And I just was so aware it was such a hit. It was so good. Yeah. And I loved doing that. And I loved doing Smith and Jones as well. I mean, they were both brilliant to me. They gave me great roles, and obviously they were huge at the time. So, and I had to slap Mel Smith in one of them, which was very exciting. And I really slapped him as well. He said, when it comes to the live, just really slap me. I was supposed to be, the joke was that he was a stalker and he'd been stalking me, and I just had to sort of walk on and slap him. And that was very fun.
It must be difficult, though. I mean, I appreciate that you're a professional actor, but it must be difficult when you're filming something that is or recording on the radio, something that's so funny, and it is funny. But you have to play it straight, because it's not funny if you laugh at the jokes. In that set, in a set, I think it was something that Eric Morecambe said to guests on the Morecambe and Wise show. He would say, you and I can never know that what we're doing is funny, or it won't be funny.
Of course.
So, I mean, do you approach everything on radio and TV with a dramatic mindset, or does the recording just take too long because everyone's improvising and corpsing constantly?
I don't approach it with a dramatic mindset, that's for sure. I don't kind of look at my characters' intentions and what shoes they might wear, and it's just the script. And what I would add to that fantastic advice from Eric Morecambe, if I could be so bold, is just that you have to just keep in your head that you do have to know it's funny. You have to keep a bit of your head knowing it's funny. There's a knowingness.
Mm.
If you don't do that, it's not funny. It can very easily not be funny. So you have to keep that knowingness in your head. But yeah, other than that, not laughing at yourself. Oh dear. Dear no.
Yeah.
Horrible sign of weakness. I never give in to. Sorry. I'm doing it now. Oh my God. I'm signaling that it's funny by laughing. Shit. Sorry.
I've been to live TV recordings a few times, and for a 30-minute episode, there'll be oftentimes a good hour, sometimes up to 2 hours. Not just because of drop-ins and bits and pieces like that, but also because some people will just start improvising and riffing, and everyone's laughing. And do you find that is a constant, or is that the unlikely scenario?
That's unlikely to me. I think people making TV shows, especially live ones, are kind of very conscious of time. And if anything, there's always a pressure. And unless it's something like, I've been to watch the live recordings of Graham Norton's show a couple of times, which are longer than the finished product, but. That's an example where obviously they have to let people go. They have to really let them expand.
Yeah.
And that's definitely the fun of it on the night. But then I don't envy them the edit, really. And actually, I'm terrible at editing myself. My show at the moment it's meant to end up at 55 minutes, and it started off at an hour and a half, and I've got it down to about an hour and 7 now, but it's I don't understand what keeps happening. I keep cutting it, and it just seems to not get shorter. It's like the magic porridge pot of the show. You eat it, and you cut it, and it just comes back. It just seeps back. I just don't know. So I'm slightly panicked about that, because I do have to probably cut 10 minutes before I get to Edinburgh. Otherwise, whoever's behind me at the Gilded Balloon will beat me up. And they will. It's happened before. People get very angry. I remember Dominic Holland getting very angry once with me and my double act partner when we overran a bit. And he didn't punch us, but he could have done, because we had to diffuse the situation.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the upcoming show. This is now a stand-up storytelling show. And I've talked very much about your ensemble acting work. As you said, you had your double act partner, the radio show with Vicky Pepperdine.
Yeah.
You've done a three-way in 2011.
I did do a three. I did have I think it was a four-way in 2011, actually. Yeah. Right. One guy, it was me, Alex Baldacci, Kate O'Sullivan, and actually Sarah J. Novak, who did music for us and appeared, but she wasn't in the poster, so it might easily have looked like a three-way.
Yeah.
But she was the invisible member, which you always need one of those in a three-way.
So from ensemble to 3 or 4 and 2 and now 1.
Yeah, it's not quite. It's 1.5.
Okay.
I'll be honest. It's a 1.5 woman show, because my daughter's in it as well. And she's much shorter than me. She's about 5 foot. So it's a 1.5 woman show. She doesn't like me referring to it as that. But yes, because so really I'm only doing that to give her a leg up, to try and help her by tarnishing her with the brush of Nepo baby. So because obviously I'm so famous and important that will just rub off. So I've long thought I would like to go to Edinburgh with my daughter. She's very funny. She inspires me. I love being around young people. It's so invigorating. And just, you can just be a vampire and suck up their youthful lifeblood. And so no, she inspires me, and I wanted to help her somehow get a toehold. She's just graduating from drama school, from a 1-year course at the Bridge Theatre Training Company. And so I thought, well, I'll get her to sort of collaborate. But then she's never actually available to collaborate. So she's ended up doing very little. She has 1 or 2 interventions. She plays herself as my daughter. So she's my sort of daughter stooge daughter. And so that's why it's not quite a one-woman show. And you could say that's cowardly of me. You could say I needed some sort of safety net and I clung to my child. But it's more than that. It's codependent. She needs me as much as I need her. It's very healthy.
How important an aspect is that of the live performance, to putting on the shows, whether it be Fringe or for a radio audience, for example? How important is that, having that extra person with you, the person to work with, the person to bounce off ideas with, the person to gain security from? Because you are not out there alone. You are very much a collaboration. How important is that collaboration for you?
Well, most people would say it's very important, but at the same time, it does also lead to trouble. If you're just planning to write and set, if it's just you, there's no one to argue with except yourself. And you still need, you still need such a lot of support. So I have a friend who's an absolutely brilliant theatre director, and she's encouraged me to do this show. Genuinely, her name is Sam Holland Bunyan. And last December, I was still mulling over whether or not to do it. And I'd booked a slot at the Museum of Comedy for December the 17th. And I had some ideas. I'd been kind of making notes of ideas for a few months, but I hadn't actually written the show. and so it was about 10 days beforehand. And I phoned her up and said, would you like to maybe, come and direct me a bit, like just be there? But I haven't actually written it yet. I don't know whether to. Do you think I should? Oh, I don't know. Do you think I should? And she went, well, I strongly urge you to commit. She's very bossy. So I shouldn't say that. That's terrible. She's not bossy. She's very determined and definite and encouraging. And so she encouraged me. Yeah. And I did commit, and I wrote it. I just came out in it. I sort of vomited it all out in about a week, and then went and performed it for an invited audience of friends. But yes, in terms of collaboration, I had Sam, my director, to really bolster me and make me feel there was a structure around me. I wasn't just completely floundering around like in a bad dream, my own on stage. Yeah, and I surrounded myself with, the tendency is to surround yourself with props, and I've got a slideshow, and maybe those are all ways of escaping the ultimate pressure of it's just you with a mic, and maybe you should embrace that and just go, oh, whatever. But what hell? I haven't quite got there yet. It's baby steps.
Yeah. But with 3 decades of acting in TV and radio and the prior live appearances, this is your Edinburgh debut.
It is.
Yeah. So what's changed? What's new? Why now? Or is this because you have a story to tell for the first time? Or is it just a vessel to drag your daughter kicking and screaming to the Fringe?
It's all those things. It is literally all those things. It's got a practical purpose, but it's got a spiritual, emotional, and intellectual engine behind it, definitely. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. So the genesis of this show comes from me thinking about the relationship between my libido and my creativity. I've kind of always known that I have more energy to be creative and more push to drive forward in my career when there's something going on in my love life, when there's some excitement, some story. And that doesn't necessarily mean a new, successive new romances, not like some sort of Casanova type woman thing. It's not just that. I mean, some of the times when I felt most inspired have been, well, I know when I was pregnant, actually, when I was 30, pregnant with my son, and then when I was 35, pregnant with my daughter. And I don't know whether that's hormones or whether it's because you've got something so great going on already that it gives you the confidence to push forward in other ways. I suspect both. But definitely there's a relationship. And so cut to 2008, really, a long time ago, nearly 20 years ago. And I was 42 and 43, and I'd really hit an impasse in both those areas, and my relationship with the father of my children broke up, and or was breaking up. Took a while. It was a terrible purgatory of years, and simultaneously, really, my double act partnership broke up, and that was, and again, all these things are always part circumstance, part hormones, or something, part fate, but so with Hudson and Pepperdine, we'd had lots of successful radio series, but our progress to TV had stalled always because of successive changes in executives at the BBC, if I'm honest, and the kind of, the stymieing and that you get through that when you're just stalled. And also we were at the same time bringing up very small children, both of us. Only 2 each, not that many. It shouldn't have been that hard. Our agent used to say, apparently our agent said to people, "Oh, the trouble is they both keep having children," as if we were, popping them out. But it was only 2 each. But they were young, and that was a big deal in those. There's been progress since then, but actually it was very hard. Being people trying to drive forward as comedians and be mothers. So we broke up under the strain of that. So I had ultimately, as a result of both those losses, I think I did become more grounded and stronger. But I did realise what was important and retreat or stay with that then for a good decade. I focused on looking after my children. They were, at the time when this happened, they were 10 and 15. So I still had a long way to go before they were launched. still coming to Edinburgh with me. Hasn't happened yet. And my son is not into show business. He's a teacher, so that's all right. He's all right. So yeah, I focused on them. I focused on just the basics. There's a brilliant David Bowie quote about you just have to get food for your family, but also keep a creative part of you alive. I can't remember the exact words. I think Richard Herring or someone quoted that. It's just so good. It's so inspiring. You just drill down to just that. You just have to have enough money coming in to survive. You have to make sure they're all right and safe, but that creative thing of you is still there. So, I did, I still worked. I kept my career as an actress, voiceover artist, writer going. But I didn't drive forward in the way that I had before. And also I didn't have a love life. I thought, that's okay. I'm done with that. I'm on my own now. I enjoy it. I enjoyed being alone. And then I went to see a friend had tickets for Richard Ashcroft at Crystal Palace Park Bowl. I'm not supposed to say where I live, but I do live very near. But and I fell in love with a rock star. I fell in love with Richard Ashcroft, and that motivated me in a big. I think it probably had a lot to do with the fact that it was just after lockdown. And I also, as the friend who had the tickets pointed out to me the other day, I did smuggle a bottle of tequila in with me, disguised as juice. And so I drank a lot of tequila and watched Richard Ashcroft live. And he played all the old... I thought, he'll just play all his new stuff. He won't play all those fabulous, famous numbers from Urban Hymns, which had been the last album I'd bought before having children and never having time to listen to music again for another 25 years. So he did play all those songs because he's no fool. And he still was playing them last year when I went to see him supporting Oasis. And he will keep playing them because they're great songs. But all his new stuff is great as well. So I fell in love with him. And that was the gateway drug to getting back into thinking, maybe I might start fancying people again. And then when I started fancying people again and dating again, I felt inspired to drive forward creatively. And so I wrote a show. In a line, the elevator pitch is suddenly men are not so paused. And it was, sort of 2022, Mel Hudson thinks her love life is over. She's separated from the father of her children and her long-term partner, same person, and is resigned to her fate as a sexually redundant celibate cat lady. Then her pussy actually dies and is cremated. And so my cat died. And that was the final thing linking me to a caring pseudo-maternal role. So I went to see the Richard Ashcroft concert, and then there's a hilarious show that follows about that. That's a crap pitch, isn't it? It's a bit disjointed. I'm sort of semi-remembering it from a blurb someone's written. But yeah, it's about how I went from celibate cat lady to woman about town, having a laugh. Enjoying myself. and dating. So it's got an arc that it caused me to re-examine the history of my libido. What the show really is a history of my libido from childhood, literally from childhood, in terms of like who my little fantasies were when I was 5, and all the way through. Sting, who I chased down Hammersmith Broadway when I was 14. That was the first time I fell in love with a rock star. And on to Richard Ashcroft, who is the reincarnation of that experience with Sting, but 45 years later. So it's like a second puberty. The show is about second puberty, which I think we can all have.
Yeah. Like most men, I go through puberty on a daily basis.
Well, that's good, you see. Yes, I think you do. I think you do. That's very true. Whereas we're maybe more cyclical, dare I say. But there's a brilliant quote by Tracy Emin, which actually I'm now starting the show with. We've got a little bit of video of her in a recent interview, where she talks about how men's artistic careers have one big ejaculation and that's it. And whereas women can come and come and come and come.
Yeah.
That's
fair.
Which again is very inspiring.
You're putting on this show at the Edinburgh Festival, as I say. It's the largest arts festival in the world. It's hugely competitive with thousands of shows going on. How competitive are you in that environment? What's your competitive side, your competitive streak?
God, you see, I just don't think I have one. I really run away from competition. I need to sort of sneak up on things. And it's all been such a revelation, because I thought I would just, turn up at Edinburgh and my show would obviously be really good and word would get round and then it would win awards. That's my ideal scenario. That's just without any effort from me. That should happen. But of course it won't be like that. So I have to put myself out there, and I'm not shy of flyering and stuff. We've been flyering for the preview shows in town, and I quite enjoy that. If I can commit to it and think, oh, I'm a salesperson now, and I'm in The Apprentice, and become that person, then I quite enjoy that. But I don't like the side of competition that says I'm better than you. I'm better than you. I'm going to win. I hate that. It's, for me, if I can't ignore all that and just do it to be about love and to be about spreading joy, then I can't do it.
Yeah.
So it is about spreading joy. And in fact, again, my director reminds me of that. Every time I get really, really nervous and think, oh, I can't, what if this show goes badly tonight? What if they don't laugh? She goes, just remember that you're doing it for them, not for you. It's not about whether you're any good. It's about what they get. It's about sharing what you've got to say.
Yeah.
And that's true.
So where do you think that you're at your happiest? Is it in the writing? Is it in the live performance? Is it theatre, TV and radio? Where do you find your comfort zone in that sense?
In bed is my comfort zone. I really do a lot of sleeping these days, and a lot of sleeping at the moment in general. Have at least one nap of 2 hours per day, as well as 9 hours at night. That's my prescription for sanity. I'm comfortable in all those places. I love writing. I really love just being in the zone and writing. And I've continued to write even, in the period since I stopped writing with my double act partner. I wrote a play that was on Radio 4. I've written film scripts, which are still in development. I've got a TV series in development. So I love writing. I basically love thinking up funny things to tell people. And then I love as I say, the feeling of liveness, the feeling of it's in the moment, you're connecting with an audience, it's excitement, it's like a party. And whether or not that be with cameras, my ideal, I suppose, is, as I say, going back to all those like Knowing Me, Knowing You type shows where they filmed things but with a live audience, because that's great, because then the cameras are capturing something that's happening. The thing that's happening is not just designed for the cameras.
Yes.
I hate that. I'm so self-conscious about that. I hate having my photo taken. I can't do that. That kind of just, all right. That kind of acting where take after take after take, we're focusing on your face, you need to be looking into the distance, you're thinking about that. I just can't. It's boring.
Well, how about comedy then as an entertainment for you? Do you still watch comedy? Do you watch sitcoms despite having been in so many? Do you watch live comedy? Is that something that you can go and do now still?
Yeah, of course. Yes, you have to, and I do. I do love it. And there's lots of things that are inspiring at the moment. You know, I mean, I'm just watching Ashley Gavin recently, who I've seen live at Leicester Square Theatre, and her, you know, her work with an audience is so good and very exciting. So I love her. I love her vibe. I mean, I'm enjoying lots of TV comedy, but I think one of the things that was really a big influence or really kept me going a few years ago was all the series of Better Things, Pamela Adlon, Better Things, and that show is so, loads of women I know love that show. It's kind of underrated, really. I mean, I know it had loads and loads of series, but it's still a bit niche. But loads of women my age just loved that. And in many ways, crikey, it reminded me of my life. I mean, it was sort of like, wow, a divorced woman who does voiceover work, you know. The only difference was she does a lot of cooking and looks after people in that way, whereas I tend to get a takeaway or go to Café Rouge. I used to take the children to Café Rouge at least once a week when it existed. So without the cooking, Better Things was a good reflection of my life. And there's lots of inspiring things about them. I can't think of any more off the top of my head. You can just sit on the internet and you can forever and ever and ever go down rabbit holes of looking at the genius of people like Barry Humphries, you know, just so funny. And Victoria Wood, of course. And I think when I was younger, one of the things that, you know, the models were very much, when Vicky and I, my double act partner, and I were working, the models were very much the fast show, shooting stars, that kind of Vic and Bob stuff. And that's still Vic and Bob still inspire me, their stuff, because it's so punky. It's just about going, look, let's just throw this, you know, footstool on stage and it will be funny, and let's not overthink it, which is very good for me. I need that kind of so those are some things that I've got going on that I like still.
Is that sort of anarchy? Is that a lesson that you've learned, that kind of freedom, or have you formed some other philosophy that you carry with you that drives you forward?
I just wanted to go back to something my director Sam said to me, which I'm trying to have as my philosophy. I'm trying to follow as my philosophy. She said, as women of a certain age, what we have to do is hold our nerve and take our space. So I'm really trying to do that. Every time again, I feel like I quail a bit in the face of the scariness of going out for an hour, making people laugh, trying to make people laugh. I just think that's not helpful. Hold your nerve and take your space. We hold our nerve and we take our space. And I love that philosophy. And again, Sam Holland Bunyan is the originator of it, but I want to spread that philosophy to all older women. But I think, yes, punk anarchy, God, anarchy completely inspires me. And the idea of throwing all the rules out and just sort of exploding rather than imploding, rather than sitting in a room and thinking about things, to get out there and share your madness and share all the things that are bugging you. And there are so many brilliant things, like that playwright Jim Cartwright, who wrote Road. There's that brilliant speech in it where they talk about all the things that inspire them. They just sort of throw them out in a list, and it's like, you know, Otis Redding and stuff like that. But I mainly think about music when I want to get inspired. That's why Richard Ashcroft is a complete talisman for me, and why he literally, you know, I will think, oh, I've got nothing to write today. I can't get it going, and I'll go into work. Sometimes when I'm writing my TV thing, I go in to work in an office in town with the production company. And on the tube, I listen to Richard Ashcroft, and the ideas just start coming, and sort of visions, and it's music that does that for me. But you know, you have to have a balance, don't you? Or, I mean, at the same time, comedy is about precision and timing, and that can be very, very subtle, nuanced, and detailed.
Yeah.
And you do have to pay attention to detail. So you have to have the spirit and the containment of that spirit, I suppose. So Dionysus and Apollo. To go back to the classical examples.
Of course. So what do you think so far have been the worst and the best experiences you've had through comedy?
Well, I was thinking about this, and I don't think I mean, the best have definite. I mean, when Vicky Pepperdine and I did our radio series, the live recordings of that were just so exciting and they were so gratifying, because we would have spent weeks and weeks working on them. And they were just fantastic and joyous, because we had a bit of a following, and so they were a friendly audience, and having the backing of Radio 4 and recording something at the radio theatre, broadcasting house, does mean that you've automatically got a bit of status. You're not just turning up at a club. People think, oh, they must be good, so they give you the benefit of the doubt to start with, which is helpful. And we would always do a warm-up, and that would always go well. And then once we were into that script and we knew we'd written it well and honed it, it's just like flying. It's just like flying. It's just fab. So those were all really great moments. And then the worst were also experiences with Hudson and Pepperdine. One of them was at Edinburgh. The first year we went, which was 1998, which was actually we had a very successful Edinburgh. I should just preface this by saying that we got taken on by French and Saunders's agent. Whether that was a good thing ultimately, I don't know, but that was good. It felt like a win. And we got a radio pilot, really, out of it. It was amazingly successful. We'd piloted our radio show within 6 months of that first Edinburgh. So that we were very successful. But some people hated us. And we had a particularly bad review in, I think, the Glasgow Herald. I've forgotten the guy's name, but he basically called us the C word. Because he said these women are a pair of C words. He didn't quite say that. He implied it. He said the language coming out of them is such that the gutter would reject. And he really hated it, mainly because we had a couple of characters which we called the Dirty Sloanes, who were just very, very posh women who made a lot of double entendres. And one of them would go, "Oh, you mean the thing that is the single entendre?" And the other one would go, no, I mean when the man comes in your mouth. And they would go, oh, yes, yeah, I prefer that, actually. And that was the rude cut, but the rest of it wasn't rude. That was just one rude sketch. But I think he really hated that. And again, there's a lot of misogyny, obviously, that informed that and fueled it. So we had one day where we'd had this terrible review, and we'd seen it, and we both were like scraping ourselves off the floor thinking, how do we go on? And simultaneously, the two people that we'd brought along to look after our 2-year-old boys, who were a very good friend of mine who was being my sort of nanny. I couldn't really handle employing a proper nanny. I couldn't do that. So I had a friend that came and lived with me and helped out. And she came to Edinburgh with me. And Vicky had her mum. She had her mum looking after her little boy. And the day we got this review, the two of them had argued about potty training and fallen out very badly. And both of them, one basically, and I hope Vicky won't mind if this gets out, but Vicky's mum said to her that she thought my childcare person was psychotic. She said, I think she's psychotic. And my childcare person, my friend, said to me that she didn't think Vicky's mum should ever be in charge of any children. Which made me think, well, yeah, explains a lot about Vicky. And it was so bad. It was just like appalling devastation of home life and critical response simultaneously. You just thought, how will you recover from this? But still, that was a successful Edinburgh. That's as good as it gets. I'm looking forward to doing that again.
Well, I mean, I've made a fair point of the fact that you've got these many years of acting and now you're doing this debut at Edinburgh Fringe. Is this a long-held target? Do you have future targets? Do you set objectives for yourself for the future?
Yes, weirdly, it is a long-held target. I've been thinking about doing it since before COVID, and then, of course, all that got in the way. I've been thinking about writing a solo show and taking it to Edinburgh. I have had that in mind. It's just taken a while to get it all to happen. But I do intend to continue, actually. In fact, I've got ideas for the sequel to Richard Ashcroft Revived My Libido happening now. They're starting to come, and so I'm excited about that. It's going to be called Princess Diana Beach, which is a place in Barbuda. It's a beach in Barbuda, which I have been to in the past year, and it's where it was renamed Princess Diana Beach in, I think, 2011. It was some anniversary of her death, and that it was a beach that she very much liked in Barbuda, where she would play with her little boys, and it's just the best beach I've ever been to. And it's very hard to get there. You have to get the ferry, which takes 2 hours, and it's very rough. And there's lots of people people that going to work on Barbuda. It's a weird mixture of kind of girls going for Instagram opportunities, all dressed up in amazing gear and with taking selfies and being sick at the same time. People with goats and lots of supplies and bottles of water. And you get there and there's really nothing there because it was flattened by a hurricane in 2017. It's flat anyway, but whatever was there was destroyed in 2017 by a terrible hurricane. So there's nothing really there. There's no infrastructure's terrible. The roads are terrible. There's nothing there except a branch of Nobu opened by Robert De Niro.
Of course.
Which weirdly, my partner, my man, when he went there, the first time he went there, Robert De Niro was there. He came around and shook everybody's hand. That's like, why would you expect that? And so I've been there a couple of times, and I took my kids there as well last year because my partner has a house in Antigua. I'll just say that now. And so that's one of the great things that's happened to me in the last year. And I took my grown-up children there, and we got to this beach, and they were just like, I don't understand this. I mean, a troop of wild horses ran along the beach in front of us as we arrived, but there was nothing and no one else there. And my son said to me, I don't understand it. We've got this whole Caribbean beach to ourselves, but we've had to bring our own cheese sandwiches. And Robert De Niro lives up the road, but there's no toilet. Which is amazing. You don't expect that kind of thing to still exist in this world. Anyway, the show won't all be about that beach, but it will be called that.
That sounds like a Fringe metaphor in and of itself.
Yeah.
So how can people find out all about you and where they can see you performing?
How can they find out? Could you tell them?
Me, I'll tell them. So everyone, pay attention. Come and see Mel's show. It's on at the Gilded Balloon, Tevio, 420, 5th to the 30th, not the 18th, in August.
That's right. But Tevio, is that how you pronounce it?
Well, Teviot, if you want to be.
Oh, I thought Teviot. Yeah.
You say what you like.
I've got to know before I go there. I can't make an arse of myself.
I said Tevio for the first 20 years, and then I heard someone say Teviot this year for the first time. I was like, oh. So now I don't know, honestly.
I love Tevio. They both sound equally pretentious, to be honest.
Well, I always consider the ancient close relationship between Scotland and France and consider it must have come from that direction.
You must be right. You must be. Tevio.
Tevio. And Teviot is a very vulgar English pronunciation, and I can't possibly conceive that would be used.
It is. It's like it's a sort of Chumley or something, isn't it? It's like it's
exactly.
Just, yeah. Well, I have just done some previews. There's one more. There's one more.
Yes.
There's one on the 24th of July at the Clapham Omnibus.
Omnibus Theatre, yes.
Yeah, that's your final chance to see a preview in London. At the Clapham. Oh, you. And then after that, it's Gilded Balloon. Yes. I do have an Instagram page. I think the handle is RA_revived my libido. That's the handle for Instagram. I'm also MC_Mel Hudson on Instagram. So that's me. That's my personal account. You'll find some videos there that I've done of me sort of talking about my show.
Yeah.
That's all really. I haven't managed to make a Facebook page. I've made a Facebook group. That's different from having a separate page. I haven't worked out how to do that. And don't know about Twitter. You're not supposed to use Twitter because it's not so right on anymore. But no one. I've said something on Blue Sky, and no one noticed. So again, it's like Edinburgh, isn't it? It's a busted flush, but there's nothing else. So let's leave Twitter and Blue Sky out of it and just stick with the Instagram. People can Google it.
Yeah. So we come to the end of our time together, and our final question, which of course is the title of the show. How, Mel, would you sum up what comedy means to you in a nutshell?
Is that the title of the show? How, Mel, would you sum up what comedy means to you?
Well, this episode.
Wow, thank you. That's kind of you, naming your show after me. Yes, I was warned that this was a question.
Warned? Advised?
Preempted. I think comedy is about power. I think comedy is about power because what it is that you momentarily disable someone by making them laugh. You momentarily render them helpless. Now, that could only be for an instant, or for hours if you're Ken Dodd or someone. So it's inherently kind of a macho form, isn't it? It's quite an ableist macho form. But at the same time, the disabling is consensual because you've sat down, turned up, and maybe paid to allow the comedian to do it to you.
Yeah.
And so if it's aware of that disabling element, the comedy, then it can do that in an intelligent way that reminds us that we're all vulnerable and that the power can flip at any minute. So comedy is an analysis of power, or it's a sort of tangential way of wielding power, like a distraction. I know this because my dad, who was a comedian, he started telling jokes as a response to being bullied. He was, I don't know why he was being bullied, but he was being bullied, literally being beaten up in the playground, and disarmed the bullies by starting to make them laugh. So it's a sneaky way of getting power back. And I used to always think when, I had to take part in an interview about double acts once when I had my double act. And I always thought that the double act really is just a sort of way of pointing to the tendency that all human relationships have to devolve into power struggles, or at least to devolve into relationships where there's a power differential.
Yeah.
There's a sort of sub and a dom, if you like. And the comedy kind of takes the mickey up that, makes it safe for all of us. That's obvious, isn't it? It's cathartic.
Yeah.
And so if a double act is the two people swapping power and talking and being an example of power struggle, then a solo stand-up, the power struggle is between the solo and the stand-up and the audience. Because the stand-up can disable them momentarily by making them laugh, and they can disempower the stand-up by not laughing or something, or throwing stuff. So that's what comedy's about for me. It's about taking the piss out of power and whilst at the same time enacting it.
Mel, thank you so much for being my guest. It's been my absolute pleasure.
Oh, it's really been great for me to talk to you, Mark. Thank you so much. What a great podcast you have.
Thank you.